How's it going, everybody? This video is kind of just a rant, talking head video. Feel free to minimize it or whatever if you want to keep doing what you're doing and just listen to what I gotta say. I'm going to be covering over the new weight system that BSG just implemented, my thoughts on it, and mainly I'm going to be talking about strength and how I just don't feel that the current strength skill implementation in the game makes any sense in relation to the new weight system that they have in place. So as of 12.4, if you've played it, you've carried any reasonable amount of gear on your character, you know what I'm talking about when I say that you are now punished pretty heavily for being overweight. Now, I'm all for realism, and I honestly don't think that the changes that Battlestate made is bad. I don't think that what they're doing is like necessarily a negative thing. My problem with it is how it relates to the strength skill and how that just does not make sense. So as of right now, the only way that you're allowed to carry more weight on your character, raising that, weight capacity, is to level your strength. And the problem with that is that the only way to level your strength is one of three ways. You can either carry 90% of your weight capacity and walk, not run, walk, melee enemies, whether it's scavs, players, doesn't matter, or to throw grenades, any kind of throwable smoke, Zaryas, RGDs, whatever you want. All of them give you points towards strength. So before 12.4, this was all fine and dandy because being super overweight carried very minor penalties to them. So I welcome the idea of adding, a penalty to being overweight. These penalties include, you have lower movement speed, you got more weapon sway, you get a little head bob the heavier you are, you get a sprint delay, increased reaction time when you want to sprint anywhere. You don't gain stamina from walking if you're too far overweight, and you get some debuffs if you're too low on stamina for too long. The stamina doesn't regain as fast, and you also start losing your energy faster if you're super overweight and exhausted. So like I said, I don't think that the changes are bad. I like what they're doing. It's another layer to the game, another thing for you to keep in the back of your head while you're playing, and a little bit of realism. I do have a problem though with how you're supposed to level strength to kind of negate those effects, or at least raise the bar for what your character is able to do in the game. So if you wanted to level strength naturally now in 12.4, you're either going to melee somebody, which, let's be honest, how often are you doing that? You're never going to pull out your crowbar or your red rebel and smack somebody with it unless you're memeing or you're in a extreme situation where you have literally no bullets left to shoot. Is the only time you're going to do that. You do that, or you throw grenades, which is probably the only way you're going to actually level strength to any reasonable degree currently in the game. Or you can be 90% overweight, and if you're 90% overweight in the game right now, or 90% of your weight capacity, it's just unplayable. It's not fun. It makes getting out of the raids 20 minutes slower. You are super easy. Yeah, even if you get out of the raid, you're extremely easy target. There's just Mosin boys just waiting for some thick dude to come hobbling around the corner. Easiest headshot of their life. And just at no point would anybody want to be 90% of their weight capacity in the game right now. Because if you killed a squad of 5 and you picked up their gear and you hit that limit, you get into the red weight area, you are not having a good time. You're not doing anything fast at all, and you're gonna drop gear and you're not gonna take it because you can't get out like that. You're just gonna get killed, and it's just how it is right now. Now, you would think that with this new implementation, Battlestate would lower that 90% threshold to where as soon as you start getting penalties for carrying really heavy items, that you would get points towards strength. But no, it's the same. It's 90% or nothing. you got 89% of your weight capacity on and you're taking extreme penalties for being that heavy, you're not leveling strength. If you wear 90% and you sprint, you don't level strength. I don't even know if you can sprint at 90%. I'm pretty sure you can't, honestly, which, you know, fine, whatever. But it's just the fact that you start getting penalties well before you will start ever leveling strength for walking in the game. And at no point are you going to put 90% of your weight on you, 90% weight capacity on you, and play a match out. Not naturally anyways. You're just not going to do it. So what I think this leads to is it leads to people either cheesing their skills or glitching their skills, which neither are healthy. Now, glitching your skills, like falling through the map, I've seen a couple of videos of people doing that. That is, I mean, that's pretty much cheating in my book, and I don't think that that's ever really okay. But I do think that cheesing your skills is fine. You go into a raids and you just have the full intention of doing that skill, of leveling that skill. That's your goal for the raid. It's your time, your money, your effort, whatever. That's fine. And I feel like this is the only way for you to actually get a reasonable amount of strength in the game right now, is cheesing it. Because even if you cheese it, it would take an eternity to level strength. And I did a little bit of numbers on this. I'll talk about that later. But I'm going to talk about the 3 different ways that you can level your strength right now in Tarkov. Another YouTuber I watched a video did a pretty good job on explaining 3 different methods. I'm not going to like cover them in detail. His name's One Peg. I'll put a link in his video down below, but I'm going to, you know, brush over them real quick. So the first way is to just carry heavy things and walk. Previous to 12.4, totally fine. Throw a bunch of stuff on you, tank battery in the Gamma or Epsilon or whatever, you know, carry a bunch of heavy stuff and just walk across a map at nighttime. Hope you don't get shot, whatever. That was totally fine. Second way, and probably the quickest way, but it requires another person, is to go in to a raid with somebody else and get like a red rebel or a crowbar and smack each other's legs while they heal through it. And then the third way, which if you're a solo player and if you just don't have somebody else there, or you just want to do it, you know, by yourself or whatever, is to just go into a raid and throw a ton of grenades, smokes, Zarya's frags, whatever. So like I said, I did a little bit of math on this. It's probably not 100% accurate, but it's close enough for estimations. It takes 10 points to get to level 1 skill, 20 points to get to level 2, and so on and so forth. Every level it goes up by 10, up until level 10, where from 10 and every, you know, level after, it's 100 points to get to the next level, which means that it takes 4,370 points to get to elite level in the game right now. So melees give you 0.1 towards your strength. Grenade throws give you 0.125, and then walking overweight gives you 1.43 points for every kilometer that you walk. Another thing is that Battle State instantiated kind of this skill leveling debuff to stop people from cheesing their skills, which I think in a healthy state of the game is totally fine, because you should be leveling these things naturally. Things like endurance and search and attention, those skills get leveled as you play the game naturally, and I think those skills are in a good spot. Strength is not, though, and that's a really big problem right now. So essentially what this, you know, skill debuff is that when you go into a raid, you get 129% buff towards that skill XP gain whenever you do something that, you know, let's just use strength as the example because that's what we're talking about. If you do anything that levels strength, like throwing a grenade, you get 129% extra, or not extra, but 129% of that skill. So you throw a grenade, instead of the 0.125, you get 129% of 0.125. I forget the exact number. So it does that for a bit until the buff goes away, and then you get the standard 0.125 per grenade throw. And then you do that for a few times, and then you get a debuff, which means you gain 86% of what you would normally get for throwing a grenade. And that goes all the way down to 0 the more that you do that thing. So I didn't go into the detail of finding out like how many melees it would take for that buff to go down, or for how many melees you can get until you hit 0, or how far you have to walk until you get a debuff on your points. But I did look at the grenade throwing, because I mean that's what I'm doing to level my strength right now. I'm just spending a bunch of rupees buying smoke grenades and Zaryas and chucking them in a game. And with this whole, buff in the beginning, debuff the more you do it system, I found that you can throw 16 throwables in a raid before you get that negative debuff on your character. Another thing is that you can put air filters into your hideout and your air filtration system. If you even have the strength to get the vents in the first place, you can put an air filter in there. I feel bad for the people that don't have that yet, but you can put one in there and that gives you a 40% buff towards your physical skills like strength and endurance. So that helps as well. So if you go into a raid and you throw 15 smokes and Zaryas, and then the 16th throwable being an RGD to end the raid early for you, so to say, you'd get about 2.3 skill points in strength per raid. And that would take about 1,900 raids of doing that to hit elite level. Meleeing legs would probably take you a similar amount of time, but you'd have to have somebody there with you the whole time that you wanted to do that. And as of the new 12.4 patch, you're not going to be carrying 90% of your capacity in walking. It's just, it would take an eternity to walk that far. Just insane. So no one in their right mind would do that. So right now they're going to be either smacking legs or throwing grenades, which is the only way that you're going to get strength up to any reasonable or measurable amount, other than, glitching the game and falling through the map, which I already have a few of my followers tell me that they did that to get their strength up. Because, I don't agree with it, but I that's the problem, is like, I see where they're coming from. It's like, how else are you supposed to level your strength up? That's the extreme view, but like, if the alternative is going into raids, spending ruples and throwing grenades, or sitting there smacking somebody's legs for hours on end, do I really blame them? Like, it's just hard. So if you're not accounting for the skill debuffs and the buffs that come with the in-raid stuff and the air filters, all that, it would take 30,559 throwables to hit elite. It would take 43,700 melees to get to elite, or 3,056 kilometers walked, which I don't even think I have like 800 kilometers walked in the game right now. So those are the numbers, and I get it. I get that BSG wants the game to be more of an RPG. These things are not for the average player. Getting to elite isn't for the average player. Most people shouldn't be able to get there. I get that. But right now, leveling strength naturally just isn't a thing in the game. Not to any realistic degree. It just takes way too long when you look at the other skills, like endurance. You can level that naturally easily, and searching and all that. All of that levels naturally, and it's in a good spot, for the most part. Then you go to strength, and it's like, oh my god, I'm never gonna get my strength up. And then now with this patch, you're just getting extremely punished for not having a good strength level. But how are you supposed to level it? That's the problem right there, So that's just like my 2 cents on the topic. You want like, a summary, if any of that went over your head. Pretty much what I'm saying is the current status of strength in relation to the weight system isn't healthy for the game. Being overweight punishes you really hard right now. And if you want a higher weight capacity, you have to have a higher strength. But leveling strength requires you to walk at a 90% weight capacity or higher. But carrying that much weight makes the game pretty much unplayable. Nobody's going to be carrying 90% of their weight around in the game right now, so they're not going to gain any strength experience at all. The XP from throwing grenades is not going to be enough to level your strength up to any measurable degree. Meleeing people, enemies, just doesn't happen that much. The end result is people are going to be glitching their skills or resorting to cheesing their skills for the benefits of getting strength. And I don't think that Battle State wants people to have to resort to cheesing to get their skills up. It's just not in a good spot. What do I think they could do about it? Well, they could bring back strength from jumping, but like a very small amount, maybe even like 0.005 experience for every jump that you do in a raid. Why not? Maybe lower the bar for strength to be gained when you're overweight. Take it from 90%, maybe like, I don't know, 80% or 70%. It could even be a sliding scale. Like, once you start getting the debuffs from being overweight, you start getting a little bit more experience, and the heavier you are in your weight capacity, yeah, you get all these, you know, bad side effects, like, you know, slow running, bad turn speed, you know, all that bad stamina drain, but at least you're gaining some strength, you know, while you're doing it. And lastly, they could, you know, if we're overweight in sprinting, maybe allow us to get some strength skills for that. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. If you're overweight and you're running, I feel like that makes you stronger. I don't know. These are just my ideas. And I really wanted to wait, like, from playing the game for like 2 weeks or so to kind of see how the new system felt and what I thought on it. But me wanting to wait is actually what made me want to make this video, because I found leveling strength naturally just doesn't make sense right now. And I don't know, that's how I felt about it, everybody. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think down below, if I got something wrong or if Battlestate changed something. You know, disclaimer, Nikita said that the skill system in general is going to be overhauled and it's going to be eventually reworked, and I get that. And I get that the game's in beta, like I understand, but the problem is that they have the most amount of players that they've ever had in the game right now. And the current system for strength leveling, which is directly tied to how much weight you can carry, it just needs to be reworked now, because they added the weight system. Now it's like the game is kind of broken a bit in my mind. It just doesn't make too much sense. And they need to do it soon, because I mean, they have all of these new players, and adding this extra weight on their shoulders, it's gonna make the game not fun for them. And I feel bad. I feel bad for everybody that hasn't got their vents yet and was working on that. I don't know. It's rough, man. So, yeah, like I said, you know, comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. I'll catch you next time.